Waiting for everything to connect here. All right, all right, all right. We are live. We are live. Hey, everyone, it's Coach Dave March here, host of the Growth Mindset Podcast. And you've probably seen me a couple times here. I'm excited to share about the new career transition course I have. I'm excited to share some videos I've made and tell my story and also offer some insights into making a career transition and doing it the right way. Just last month, I had a client double his salary. He was making 130K. Now he's making 230K. So $100,000 increase purely because of positioning, hard work, the coaching that we did together, and we actually saw a direct link from what I did to the position he got. So I'm pretty excited about that. End to end career satisfaction, um, career transition. So that's really exciting. Um, you know, this particular client got laid off, and we set up a goal, and in less than 3 months, he got a position and got more on his salary than he's ever made before. Of course, he had in-demand skill. Of course, he worked really, really hard. He was creative and did all the right things. We worked together, and this is what happened. So I'm really excited about that. Um, want to share a little bit about the uh, video we have going on here. We created a video about the course. So just to start things off, I want to share the video. Um, and yeah, this is kind of just to pre-frame this a little bit. This is the first module of the career transition course. Um, I'll go over I'll go over my website a little bit here so that you can have like a full understanding of the different modules. So there's going to be 8 modules, and so just going to share my screen here. There's 8 modules altogether. The video I'm about to show is module one: know yourself to market yourself. Uh, it's all about having that right vision. Then and having the right vision, having the goals, setting up all the positioning, your career vision, your personality, your strengths, all this kind of good stuff there. And then we go into position yourself as a prize. Is module two. Module three, build your authority brand before outreach. And we'll go a little more deeper into all these things as this live goes along. Module four, launch strategic outreach. Module five, step into leadership before the title arrives. This is all about your soft skills and such. Then once the time arrives, right now we're doing interviews, and now there's no more time for you to be shrinking. This is where you need to be standing up. You need to be showing up. You need to be standing out, and then negotiate without fear. I mean, that was a big thing for the client I had. Just not having fear or not having any kind of doubt about that because he hasn't made that kind of income before. So So it's really, really exciting stuff. And then just staying awake to your power. Once you actually have the position, you know, you're being aware and being really awoken to that power you have. So without any further ado, we will go into the video. here. Mhm, mm, mhm, mm, mhm. In Buddhism, the first step on the Eightfold Path to freedom is the right view. It means seeing things clearly, not through fear, not through ego, but through faith. And that's where we start, because no career strategy, no job search system works if you're still operating from confusion, survival mode, or someone else's expectations. If you don't understand where you are, you can't own who you are. You'll just recreate the same stuck story in a different place with a shinier paycheck. For the past 10 years, I've coached high-performing professionals through major career transitions, leadership pivots, and personal transformations. I even wrote a book about it, Vision in Action, because I've seen what happens when people finally stop running from burnout and start building from alignment. And that's exactly what we're doing here. This course isn't about getting the next role. It's about building a career that fits your values, vision, and energy. So before we talk about resumes, networking, or interviews, we slow down. We zoom in, we get honest. Because when you see clearly, you choose wisely. And when you're aligned, path forward doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like purpose. I'm Coach Dave March. Been coaching for 10 years, and I want to welcome personally to Module 1 of the Strategic Career Transition course for high performers. All right, all right. There you have it. There you have it. The career transition course for high performers. Yeah, this is really been a long time coming. I'm excited to make more videos. That's just module one. We're going to have a module one video, module two, module three, module four, all different videos. And yeah, I also want to spend some time to tell my story here and explain how I got there and explain all the different things that I've done kind of from 2013 to 2025, then go into some tips and such um, of how you can make a career transition yourself and following the course outline that I have. So, for me, my journey starts out in 2013 when I started career coaching. I went to IPEC, Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching, and I was really early to the scene. I feel like in 2013, like coaching wasn't that big of a deal around that time. Uh, People didn't really know what coaching was, so um, that's why I got interested in writing a book. Uh, and around that time, this is about 2013. Um, I was, I should say, about a year later, 2014, I was kind of just walking in the park in Ridgewood, New Jersey, and I met a guy on a park bench, and he was playing hand drums, playing just percussion. He was a percussionist, and I was talking to him, and I learned more about Buddhism, and really enjoyed the conversation I had there with him, and went back, got my drums. We were just hanging out, um, and talking, having a good discussion on Buddhism, and you know, one thing led to another. I met a lot of interesting people along the way. People that really had a holistic knowledge, really comprehensive knowledge of Buddhism. Um, Met some like really interesting cultured Japanese Buddhists that had really a long history of faith and really understood the practice well. And that's when I really got interested in it myself. Um, I started practicing then. Um, so this is about 2014, and you know, felt the calling really to take up Buddhism, and really enjoyed the faith there. And I would consider myself a faith based career transition coach. I really feel like it's all about faith. And so, um, as time progressed, I went to different meetings, a lot of different discussion meetings, a lot of different study meetings, and I finished the book, Vision in Action, the first edition. This is the very first edition. Um, it didn't even. Oh, this is the first edition. This is the first edition of the book. It's kind of an old looking book. Um, but that was the first edition, and yeah, really just the book was all about the hero's journey. It's more theoretical, more using Carl Jung's philosophies and such. And um, I was knocking doors, selling the book while I was selling solar, doing solar panels, and just sharing the wisdom of the book I wrote. It was a lot of fun. Um, but eventually, I got into recruiting, and really enjoyed the recruiting a lot. And it gave me some real practical understanding to my theoretical understandings of finding your bliss, finding your passion, finding what you would want to do in your life, in terms of vocation. And so that was like 2017. It's kind of like the formative years, I should say. Um, and working a lot in the staffing agency recruiting field, really enjoyed it. Um, and my first like kind of entree into the work that I'm doing now, um, building up personal brands and such, was in 2019, working with digital marketing strategist, and really, you know, built up my first brand then, and made a lot of articles, made a lot of videos. And originally my first interest in the whole career transition field was resume writing, and it took me a while. I should say, well, that took me on a long journey, resume writing. It was a lot of fun. Really just starting from the bottom. This is like, again, this is like 2020 now. Now we're like kind of going into the pandemic, and people are looking for career transitions and such. And so resume writing is like always something people always need, especially at that time, 2020. This is almost 5 years. Yeah, this is definitely 5 years ago. Um, and that was, it was good. Kind of start from the bottom. Like I said, I started, working for like $100 on a resume, like 5 years ago. Um, and time progressed, things changed. We went from $100 to $600 to $1,200 to 2,000, 5,000. All these different, these different evolutions, different points of growth, um, which were really a lot of great growth, and through all these different things, I was really looking to do more than just resume writing, to where I am today, right? Just doing the entire journey with someone, right? Where, like I said in the beginning, really working with someone from beginning to end, not just working with a resume and see you later. I'm talking about getting someone from laid off, like, what the hell am I going to do next? Fearful, what's going to happen? You don't know where my paycheck's going to be. Kind of like the ground fell off, ground fell out of the bottom here. You have nothing, you have nowhere to stand, right? It kind of feels like, what am I going to do? from that like down place of this. There's a lot of mindset work there. There's a lot of emotions that go through. There's a lot of different things there. From that very beginning point to the very end point. I mean, we're talking end to end, from laid off to getting paid. You know, my last client, 230,000 a year. $100,000 up from where he made before. Um, and Yeah, I mean, it's a long journey. I'm really excited, really happy that I went through all these things, went through all these trials and tribulations, so I can help other people and share these insights and ideas with other people. Um, so really, just a great journey. Going through all these steps, and it's been a journey from again just resume writing to where I am now. And I had a lot of coaches, I had a lot of mentors, I had a lot of people help me along the way, so that I could really have the confidence, have the skill set, have the know-how to be able to do all these different things. And that's really how I got to creating this course now today. And so the framework of it is really quite simple. I mean, first of all, you got to have career clarity, and that's kind of what I've shared in the website before, but I'll share it again, and then I'll go into a little bit about the course that's going to be on School. So I'll just share this screen again. So yeah, all starts off with what your goals are, right? What are your strengths? Going to have clarity, and we're talking about like very granular, specific clarity. Right now, spraying and praying does not help anyone. Just you're just gonna just send your resume to any and everyone you're gonna see. It's not gonna work. Um, I mean, especially I saw a post recently. It's like you know, something around. This is obviously going to be inflated numbers, but something around like 10,000 positions open and like 1,000, I should say 10,000 candidates looking for positions, but only 1,000 actual positions, right? So, um, yeah, you really got to be very, very specific about what you're looking for, about who you are as a person, so that you can market yourself, and have that vision of where you want to go, where you want to do, where you want to be, because the clarity that you have internally and the cloud you have internally will reflect externally. So and you have to know your strengths, your personality. You know, make I saw another post. Make a list of all the strengths you have, all the accomplishments that you made, all those different things, and then you can use that later on as like uh, a source for resume writing, for your messaging, for your networking, and all that kind of stuff. But really, it all comes down to the first beginning piece, your career vision. Who do you want to be? Who are you becoming? All these kind of things like that. And then once we have all that information, then we can then create or articulate a clear career narrative, an aligned resume, build out your personal brand, and have you being seen as a solution, not just a candidate. Because especially right now, like I said, there's just so many candidates open, so many candidates at work, looking for work. There is, what is it? I think Microsoft, no, Procter and Gamble just laid off like 7,000 people. Um, Microsoft laid off like 10,000. I mean, this year there's been just so many layoffs. And so there's definitely a need for people to position themselves as a prize and to do some of the work um, for the recruiters. So make it easy for the recruiters to um, speak to you, to get to know you. And so you mostly do that through having a clear career narrative, having an aligned resume, having a confident personal brand, knowing your skills, knowing your strengths, and again, knowing that specific role that you play that's going to be the most impactful role. And all this is done, all this brand building and all these things is done because you want to build up the authority brand before outreach. Like my previous client had books, he had books done, and he was, he has all these different things online, and makes another big point here. What I talk about from the coaches that I've worked with, and people I've worked with, are online authority and trust. So we call that OAT. And what you want to do is build up all that online authority and trust before you do any kind of outreach. Because the first thing people are going to do is, who's this guy? Who is this guy? Why is he reaching out to me? Right. So you want to build up all that authority brand on LinkedIn through, you know, projects you've done through GitHub, whatever it is. That's going to show the credibility, the consistency, can show your leadership, can show that you're a person of high trust before you email anyone, right? Your brand should really speak for you. And so that's before any kind of strategic outreach. And then once you're actually doing the outreach, once you get to that point, um, then everything else is going to work backwards, right? It's once you set outreach, then also we did before is going to work from backwards to forwards, right? Because the outreach should be based off your authority brand, based on your positioning, yourself as a prize, based on the clarity of who you are and what you're looking for. So that's all kind of working backwards from launching your strategic outreach. So, um, what I find that works the most is emotional messaging, and then using research, doing a lot of research um, on the actual messages themselves, research driven messages, and then you have to get really targeted on who you're going to be reaching out to. I mean, I've talked about this many times in webinars and different things like that. The idea is you want to find the hiring managers, find the people that are going to be able to make an influence on the decision. So this is all kind of the idea of getting a position without applying online. And again, this is what my client did. This is all clients that are getting the increases in salary, getting the positions. They're doing the networking because networking acts as like interview zero, and it's taking away the risk from the hiring managers and such. And it's taking and recruiters are bound by time to fill metrics. So if you're doing the work for them to position yourself for them, and if you're a staffing agency recruiter, you're giving them the sell sheet so that they can sell you. I mean, you're making their life easier. That's kind of the idea here. And so if you do all the work before step one, module two, module three, and then you do the strategic outreach, it's going to be a lot more effective. And so the next kind of module there is module 5. You step into leadership before the title arrives. This is kind of a big piece because real the differentiating factor is going to be your soft skills. And I had a podcast with Naman, hope I'm saying his name right, just recently. And we talked about this. It's a great episode. Check it out. Um, and it's all about soft skills. He talks a lot about executive presence specifically. And so, what you want to do is step into leadership before the title arrives. You want to have these soft skills, you want to have these leadership skills, um, because, yeah, that's what's going to make a difference, right? I mean, look, you got all the technical skills. If you're looking at a resume, he's got all the technical skills, he's got all the different things he or she needs. And I'm doing he or she, he or she, right? Uh, uh, needs the technical skills, and then um, after we are certain that the technical skills, the next level is soft skills. Right? He's got the degree, he's got the skills, he knows how to do the coding. She knows how to do the coding, whatever the deal is. Um, Now we have to really beef up those leadership skills. And so I talk a lot about leadership in my podcast. Actually, it's like the main topic of the podcast. It's personality, it's working well with others, it's communication skills, it's all that stuff. That's all the leadership skills. It's psychological safety, something I talk about a lot in the podcast. Um, you know, growth. It's all about having a growth mindset. That's why it's the Growth Mindset podcast. Um, and so yeah, that's all module 5 stuff. Building yourself as a leader, and embodying that. I mean, I've said this in so many different videos, but I'll say it again. It's not about head knowledge. It's all about embodying the information. And that takes a long time. I mean, I talk about in the last podcast episode, an analogy I made with tennis. You can play tennis. I mean, sorry, you can watch YouTube videos of someone playing tennis, but that's not going to get you better at playing tennis. It's just not. And in the podcast episode, the same thing you said was, you could read videos on, watch videos on executive presence, but you have to have a bias for action, and so that's going to really make the difference. Um, and so, very big piece is the soft skills, especially with all these things with ChatGPT and everything, right? You have to be that person at the end of the day. So, um, yeah, you don't want to hide, don't want to shrink, no shrinking. You want to show up, you want to speak up, you want to stand out. And that's the next module. So you know, in the in, and this is really talking about interviewing. Is really what this module is about. So how to really learn how to lead into the interviews, build the presence, build trust, speak to your value, conviction, and clarity. And so that's the big picture. Um, and then negotiating without fear for making a transition with power, right? So a big piece there is totally the salary negotiation. Um, you know, look at there's levels.fyi. There's so many different sites. Look at some different sites that talk about the salary, and that can really support you and understanding where you're looking at, what you're looking for on the um, negotiation side. You'd be surprised about what people are paying for the position you have. You'd be very surprised. So you want to have that information because though people are always going to say you're always going to have that back and forth if you don't, right? You want to know where you're at and you want to negotiate with power. You don't want to kind of diddle dally. And of course, the time to negotiate is after they want to make you an offer, right? Not before. You want to really kind of set a good expectation of what you're looking for. Again, with the research that you've done, and you want to position yourself as the expert. All these pieces are building upon each other, right? Position yourself as a prize. You're building all these pieces on top of each other. So you don't want to you don't want to take a foot off the gas once you're at module 7. You want to hold your foot on the gas. You want to keep going until you're landed the offer. You're starting to work, and then once you start that new position, staying in that power that you built up. All right, you landed the role, but this is just the beginning. You want to build the long term career sustainability. I mean, I remember when I was on some coaching calls, I should say more enrollment calls. Um, talking about this, and some people even look at this as like a retirement plan, because it's like, if you can increase your salary by 100K, 50K, 25K, whatever it is, um, and you can continue to get that increase, and have that long term career sustainability. Now you're starting to set yourself up for success. I mean, this is almost like, this is the money that you're going to have for retirement if you if you can, um, hold on to all that stuff. I mean, life is ever changing. The only thing constant is change in life. That's kind of one of the main things. But and if you could stay in the power, if you could stay in the, um, that feeling of, you did this, you got to this place, and just keep moving forward from there. Again, keeping your foot on that gas, and protecting what you've built. That's going to be huge. So, uh, and so now I want to kind of transition to the, course. This is how the course is gonna look. So this is inside of the course. This is school. You have your different sections. This is module one: values, vision, and personality. Module two: strategically position your strengths, build your authority brand, launch strategic outreach, step into leadership, build up those soft skills, because that's what's going to make a difference. Show up, speak up on your interviewing, negotiate without fear, and then stay in the power after the offer. I also have some inspirational music and focus music. I thought that was pretty cool. It's a long, arduous journey, and it's good to have some inspirational music and some focus music when you're getting all these, homework done, all these things done in the course. Um, I also have some motivational videos, um, to keep you going, because you can definitely feel scared or nervous, or you have a lot of different emotions, really. Um, and these motivational videos can help you bring through all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, then we also have the group coaching calls, the recordings, so you can look back and you can gain from that as well. So that is the course. That's what I wanted to share live with everyone today. If there's any questions, if there's anything else you want to go over, I'm here for it. And let's see. All right.